Good morning, everyone. We've made it. We're at Wednesday, halfway through the week. It's early out day for some of the kiddos, the L&M kiddos, so that's always a big day at our house. Even though I don't think, she didn't go to school Monday. Yesterday was late start, so they're just getting spoiled this week. It is still really cold out there, but I heard from a little bird that afternoon I'm going to be basically wanting to put on my bathing suit, probably jump in the pool. It's going to be super warm. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm guessing probably all of you are too. So thank you so much for joining us on the show today. We have a very special guest on to talk about something that's pretty near and dear to my heart. And I think you guys will all enjoy the conversation. And I'm sure that you guys in some way can relate to this story. Some of you may have been through it almost to a T, but some of you can relate in other ways, maybe as caregivers or something like that, a family member. So we will talk with John here in just a little bit. But to start, I want to remind you all, so today is National Random Act of Kindness Day. This day is I love it. This is going to be fun. So all day, I just encourage you guys to just do random acts of kindness, whether it be a stranger or someone that you know, and let's just see let's spread it all through Muscatine County. Just random acts of kindness to surprise people today on this Wednesday. This is a fun one to celebrate. So I hope that you guys will all celebrate with me by doing just a kind gesture for somebody randomly, a stranger, a family, a friend, whoever it might be. Whether it's a compliment or maybe you buy their coffee by surprise or surprise them with a flower, just whatever it is that your heart desires, just a random act of kindness to brighten someone's Wednesday. So we have John with us this morning, and John is a friend of mine, and so you saw the show that I did about my cancer journey,
right.
And when he reached out and said, well, I kind of have a story that I might be able to share, that I really felt like in my journey that it helped me sharing my story, and I know that some people aren't like that, but I found that so many people have reached out to me, and maybe they're just starting their journey and they have questions, or so it's been really cool to experience that and be able to be kind of a support for some people. And sometimes just sharing your story is all it takes for someone to say, oh, well, now they're doing fine and I can get through this too, or it means a lot to people sometimes. So I was happy when you reached out. So tell us a little bit about, first of all, where your story started, all of those things. Give us the deets.
Okay.
That's not my kind of music.
Well, as a random act of kindness, this is really a coming out because I've been fairly private about this experience, and we're really talking about prostate cancer.
Yep.
In the spring of 2013, I participated in a community blood draw. And blood draw came back, and the results were generally cholesterol less than 200. I'm pretty good there. And most of the other results were very good, except for one, and that was there was a PSA, prostate-specific antigen test. And that is a reflection of a male's prostate and what's going on in the prostate. And my general practitioner had been starting a baseline, and that baseline was, I don't know, about 10 years earlier, and in the 2 range. And then progressively had gone into the 3s, and then this test in spring of 2013 came out at 4.7, and 4 is the level where the bells go off.
Okay.
So I'm at a 4.7.
Yeah.
And so the note on the bottom of the results says, go see your general practitioner. So I go see the general practitioner, and the general practitioner says, they did the exam, and they said, nothing remarkable. The prostate is well, about the size of this, a walnut. They usually describe it by being a walnut. But it's little, but it's very, very potent. And where it is in a man's body is very, very key to bladder, reproductive, any number of different functions.
Yeah.
So they said, let's take a look. I'm going to refer you on. They asked about my family history. My father, at the age of 72, was diagnosed with prostate cancer. His older brother passed away from prostate cancer.
Oh, goodness.
And I had an uncle on my mother's side. So from a family history, when I tell the doctors this, the bells again go off.
Yep.
Now, I'm 62 at the time, and I'm thinking by around 72, like my father's age, maybe something will happen. I'm 62, I'm at 4.7. You're going to go see a urologist. So the urologist looks at the family history, and they look at the number of different things that are going on. I'm showing signs that that male walk down the hallway at the middle of the night. That's a true sign that there's some prostate issues and some enlargement. So he says, "What do you want to do?" And I would rather be aggressive about this.
Right.
So we'll schedule a biopsy. So we schedule a biopsy. He's taking the biopsy, and he says, "Your prostate is soft and smooth." And
Seems fine.
Almost told him, let's not do it, but something, I can't say who, what, where, why, when, how, said, we'll continue to do so. We'll continue to test.
Yep.
So we took the test. I think it was on a Tuesday. He said I should have results on Thursday. I'll give you a call. No call Thursday. No call
The worst.
Friday. Yeah. No call Saturday. No call Sunday. Monday afternoon he calls. You're going to be in my office tomorrow. You have tested positive for cancer. And there's something in the prostate they call a Gleason score, Gleason scale, and it was a rather high, which said aggressive.
Yeah.
So, well, John, go keep your appointment, figure out what you want to do. The doctor sat down, gave us 3 options: doing nothing, and which is a common practice with prostate cancer. It's not unheard of because every cancer is different, as you well know.
Yep.
Every cancer has a different plan. Every cancer has a different approach.
Sure.
So doing nothing because my prostate was soft and smooth, but the Gleason score said something's in there.
Yeah.
So you could take seeds, basically radiation seeds, and they could implant the seeds. I just had a grandchild, first grandchild, earlier that year. Nope, that's not going to happen. You can't go with a young child. So the third one is a surgery, and they call that a radical prostatectomy.
Okay.
So I'm the student now.
Yeah.
So I go out to YouTube, and I enter radical prostatectomy, and you can watch the surgery taking place.
Wow. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Should people do that
I
before you have the surgery?
Toleration, I guess. But knowing what I was doing and how serious and how emotional it is, I was going.
Yeah.
And the doctor is, during the surgery, he never touched me. The operations, basically, they poke 4 little holes in my abdomen, and they put a bucket in there. And then they put the robot inside of me. And the Da Vinci robot, basically, he was in the corner, the mad scientist.
Yeah.
And goes in, and they took lymph nodes, they took seminal vesicles, and they took the prostate, put it in the bucket, pulled the bucket out. Amazing. Amazing.
Wow. I feel like I want to get on YouTube and watch this now. It's crazy. Holy cow.
It is just a wonderful, to me, the Da Vinci, because it's very, very precise. Now,
Yeah.
he said there was an option that if I wanted to, I could save some veins. Not knowing what I know now, I decided take it all.
Yep.
Now, there are side effects and risks with every surgery.
Yep.
And when you have surgery as close to your bladder and as close to your bowels as this one was, and to your other reproductive, something's going to happen down there.
Yeah.
And fortunately,
Yep.
I've only had one side effect out of the potential of all of them.
Yeah.
And because some of the side effects are very disturbing.
Scary.
Yeah, yeah. But the alternative is what
Yeah.
do you do?
Yep.
Now, again, being the student, Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore is a noted area for prostate urinary male.
Yep.
And my cousin, who was showing, he was having fives in his,
Oh my gosh.
and told me about a couple of books.
Okay.
There was a book by Dr. Patrick Walsh called The Prostate, A Guide for Men and Women Who Love Them, and Dr. Valentine Carter, Whole Life Prostate book. And of course, you know me, I'm get them from the library.
Yep.
I'm reading,
Yep.
and just I'm going to understand how this thing is going to work, what's going to go on, how we are going to progress with this.
Yep.
So I go home after I had a problem with the surgery because the anesthesiology, the first attempt at a surgery, anesthesiology couldn't intubate me.
Oh. Dang it.
I wear a medical bracelet that says must awake intubate now because of the intubation issue. So that held us off a month.
Oh my gosh.
I had it planned because I was teaching part-time.
Yes.
I had it planned. I was going to have my surgery. It was going to be all done, and then I was going to start.
Well, it's a mindset too. Like you're there, you've already like walked through like, okay, I can do this. This is the day. I know what's going to happen. You prepare yourself for it, and then like, no, we're not doing it today.
Not doing it today. You know, the family is there, and nothing happened. Oh boy. So now what? So well, you come see me again tomorrow, and then we'll figure out we're gonna have you see a different anesthesiologist. And so we waited a month where we could get me scheduled, and that month is just miserable. And I need to have this out now,
Right.
not 30 days from now.
Yes.
What risks do I run, or do we run?
Yeah.
Because it's really a family affair.
Yeah.
What risks do we run by waiting 30 days? You know, and the doctor really doesn't give you a real good answer on that, you know.
Yep.
So, actually, I was teaching class, took a week off of class. I was operated on a Monday, and I talked to the doctor and said, can I go back? Here's my class schedule. I only have 2 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Go ahead. So, had the surgery on a Monday, and the following, I was off that whole week, and then the following week on Tuesday, I went back to class. And I thought, I never told the classes, you know, and I had, a catheter in, you know,
That is crazy that you were literally, you had a catheter in and you're like doing normal things.
Yep, I'm teaching.
Like teaching class.
Yep.
Going to meetings. And who else, I mean, seriously, who else has done that? Nobody does that.
I'm on the board at the time. I'm on the
He's
board
like,
at
I
the
got
library.
things to do.
I
got things to
got
do.
a board meeting at the library, so I went.
Oh my gosh.
Are you aware of it? Yes. Are you uncomfortable? Yes.
Yep. But in some way, some people just need to keep going.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
and so for you, that was what you did. You just kept going, and
After the first day, I was exhausted.
yeah,
And I got home at 3 o'clock or so in the afternoon, and it was nap time.
yeah, yeah.
It was nap time.
So we've talked about the medical side of things. Let's talk a little bit about the emotional side for both you and your family. I mean, I've said this a million times. Like, I realized very quickly when I received my diagnosis that it wasn't just my diagnosis.
No.
You know, as soon as they said the words and I looked around the room and saw everyone else's faces, you know, my family's faces, I knew, like, this isn't just mine. You know, this is all of ours.
Oh, yeah.
And so tell me a little bit about your experience and, you know, as far as emotional, because you even said, you know, like for men, it can be very emotional. A lot of things can happen when you have prostate cancer. Mm-hmm. Just like with breast cancer, you know, like I felt like, well, they're taking my womanhood and, you know, I had just had a hysterectomy and then it's just like all of these things and all of a sudden I'm like, now I don't have hair. And, you know, I felt like there was a good chunk of time that I was like, I'm not even like a woman anymore. I mean, I'm not even a woman anymore, you know, like where that was my mindset.
Sure.
And so I wonder if it's the same for men in this situation.
In this situation, now again, they're all different.
Yeah.
In this situation, manhood has been removed from the equation.
Yep.
However, you know, I don't have any of the other side effects.
Sure.
And you know, there are individuals who if, for example, if you would have incontinence issues, you know, you're going through the security at an airport, you know what? They're checking your band and they're seeing, you know what you're wearing. You know, that makes you uncomfortable. I see the ads on TV these days, you know, for underwear. Mm-hmm. And you know, they come in quiet packages. So from an emotional standpoint, obviously you think about life, you think about, you know, what you want to do, how you want to do it, you know, your grandkids. I had just had my first grandchild, and you know, I want to watch her grow and mature and slide down hills in the wintertime. And so, yeah, the first thing I did after I received the diagnosis on the phone was called the son in Houston and called the daughter here in Muscatine, is that, you know, you guys need to know what's going on.
Of course. Yep.
And
yeah. So how about your wife? What was she? I'm interested to know how she reacted.
well, she's medical. So
Yes.
It's
all medical.
It's
And
medical.
She's like, okay, I'm just going to stay in this mindset. These are the things we have to do.
This is the mode. Yep.
This is how we're going to make sure that this doesn't go any further. And
she was right on track with no radiation seeds.
Yep.
You know, we'll do the surgery. You know,
yeah.
we'll go.
Yeah.
And from a medical standpoint, it's like the medical kicks in and it's just, okay, here's now. I'm not that way.
Right.
I'm not medical.
Yes.
So I'm just, and I'm thinking, you know, life. You know, how did my dad do? And how did they respond? My dad lived because he took radiation, and he lived for 10 years after his radiation experience. He tolerated it well. He never lost hair. He never was sick to his stomach. He never had that stuff, and that's fortunate.
Yeah, especially at that age.
Yeah, because he was 72.
So generally, I'm sure you've done all the research on this because I know you. But so generally, what age, like for breast cancer, it's like, well, you don't even have to have a mammogram until you're over 40, you know, or even really get checked. For men, like when is that age where you start really getting checked and you need to pay more attention?
They start taking your baseline around age 40.
Okay.
For some, it might be 50, depending upon family history.
Yep.
I had a real strong family history. My general practitioner here in Muscatine started at 40. Thank you very much.
Yes.
That was the right thing to do.
Yep.
So, and you know that you have problems when you're getting up in the middle of the night and you have to walk down the hallway.
Yeah.
That's it's telling you something. There's a message there.
Yeah. It's super important to listen to your body. We all know
Oh, yeah.
ourselves the best. And it's easy to ignore things. Oh, I don't have time for that. But it's the best thing to do is to deal with, if you have something going on, you feel differently, you're going to the bath, any of those things that aren't normal for you, the sooner that you find these things, the sooner that you find the cancer, the better. I mean, in any scenario, any cancer scenario, that's what you'll hear is the sooner you find out, the sooner they can do treatment, the sooner, you can fight it. If you don't know, it just keeps going.
We had another twist and turn in this story, and that is that I am 3 months out, and they take a blood test, the PSA, on a regular basis, and my PSA started to rise, which said, you didn't get everything that you needed to get in the surgery. So I'm going to make you, doctor says, I'm going to make you an appointment with the cancer treatment, and we're going to look at a program for you and whether it's chemo or radiation. And I'm thinking, if I have to do radiation, how am I going to work this around class, teaching class? So my appointment is with the surgeon, and then like right across the street in Iowa City for the first meeting to plan whether it's chemo or radiation. So the doctor says, let's take another PSA and see what happens. Okay. So they take the blood, and then I go across the street. Doctor comes in and talks, and then the nurse comes in and says, there's doctor for you on him. Oh, brother, now what?
Morning.
So apparently what had happened was the PSA in the doctor's office differed from the one that had been taken. So
luckily they called in time, right?
Yep. There's no radiation meeting for you today. We're going to send this off to Kansas City and see what happens there. They sent it off to Kansas City and said, no, PSA is okay. You're okay. You're
like, don't do that to me.
And again, that's the emotional roller coaster. This whole thing. You can't, first of all the diagnosis, then you can't operate, then the PSA is rising. Holy mackerel! How do you?
One thing that I'm finding too is that it doesn't stop after. So every 6 months, I can tell when that appointment's coming where I'm going to go and, get blood work done and go see my oncologist and all of those things. I mean, you go through the roller, you're like, well, what if it's back? And what, I sat there when I was getting chemo, I sat there in a room with other women who were there. I mean, literally, I was friends with a woman that was her second time, and then I sat there with a woman who had it 4 times. Different breast cancers. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, every time it's like, I said, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. And that's what you do every single time. So even after the cancer, even after you've won, if you will, there's still this roller coaster of what if it comes back? What if I don't realize it? What if it's a different form? And every little thing kind of paranoids you, and you're like, oh gosh, is this a sign? Or I felt something. Is this a sign? It's the same for everyone. It's a long journey, and it doesn't end after it ends.
No. I have gone back 8 times, 8 years in a row in the summertime, and I get a PSA. And the last time he said, if we go to year 9 and year 10 and have an undetectable PSA, you won't come back unless you have symptoms.
Yeah.
So but each time you go in, You know, if that PSA comes back positive, then the roller coaster starts again.
Yeah.
But so far, 2 more years, and hopefully, we're through this.
Yes. Yeah. So, what would you say, just to kind of end, like, what would you say to somebody? What's your advice to anybody that might have, I don't know, have some kind of symptom or, are noticing something different? What would you say to them?
What I would say is, first of all, go see your general practitioner, get your PSA. PSA is controversial. The books, there's all kind of books, plus, minus. At least you know what your level is if you get a PSA. For men, the exam is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know what? The alternative is more uncomfortable than the exam. Early detection, and let me say it one more time, early detection.
Yep.
Because I'm fortunate, because a fluke in the spring of 2013, a community draw, I had passed the 4 level. I'd gone to the GP, followed them, went up. Each one is different, but what it's done is it has been very positive for me.
Yeah. That beeping is bringing back really bad memories. Right?
Yes.
It's like the beeping is like, oh my gosh, it's bringing back like horrible feelings. But it's funny, the things like that. I cannot eat peppermints anymore. When I was doing chemo, I could literally taste this stuff as it entered my body. I could taste it in my mouth.
Sure.
So I started, bless my friend Stephanie bought me these huge tubs of mints, my favorite soft mints, and I would eat them while I was getting chemo the whole time. I would eat these peppermints, and so I wouldn't taste it. And I cannot even anything peppermint. It just makes me like instantly, like, I don't know, it just floods that emotional, like, I cannot eat peppermint anymore. It's funny the things that happen, like, just cannot eat peppermints anymore. Can't happen. So, darn it. I mean, like, I was thankful for my soft peppermints throughout the journey, but now I can't have them anymore. But like the beeping, it's like all these things happen. But the point to having, folks like John on to talk about their story is truthfully to let people know, like, you're not alone if you're going through it, to bring awareness that it's important when you feel something different or you notice something, that you say something and you go to the doctor. Take that time, because I promise, the time that you spend at the doctor that day, even if it seems like it can't fit in your schedule, it fits in your schedule a lot better than the alternative, if something were to happen. And, whether you share your story publicly or whether, it's something that's private with your family, I always encourage somebody, like, you have to have somebody to share your story with, to talk to about what you're going through. And it doesn't have to be everyone like me, like I found that helped calm me down. It made me feel like I had a purpose to share my story, and that's not for everybody, but at least have someone to talk to. And
another message is one that I've said on several occasions, and that is I'm appreciative of modern medicine.
Yeah.
Because there's a doctor that removed, 3 different glands or 3, lymph nodes, seminal vesicles, and the prostate, and he never touched me.
Yeah.
The
crazy.
robot did it all.
Yeah.
And the folks that are doing the research down at Johns Hopkins and all over, I think it's a common thing. I think any doctor can access what they're posting, the research, the writing. And for someone like the book by Patrick Walsh, The Prostate, a guide for men and women who love them. If you've got men in your life, you know what? Eventually, as they age, they're going to face those kind of issues.
Yep.
And A prostate is no bigger than this, but what a key to life.
Yeah. It's amazing how it can affect the whole family, and educate yourself and know things. I have several books that were given to me or bought for me, or I picked up along the way about the emotional part, about okay, how do I make sure this doesn't come back, and the diet while I was on chemo. I mean, there are so many resources out there. We are lucky for that, for sure. And just lean on the community, and lean on people who love you, because that's how they feel valuable throughout the journey. So people need that. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story.
You're welcome.
I know it's not something that you've done publicly before, but my hope is that somebody watching will hear your story and just say, you know what, he did it, we can do it. Or
I can do it.
yeah, if you can do it, anybody can do it, right? I mean, so I appreciate that. I know it's not always the easiest thing, but he immediately, I got a message and said, if you feel like you need more, I'm willing to step out of my comfort zone a little bit and tell my story. So that's awesome. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
So we are going to go to the aisle cam quick and let John sneak out of here, and then we'll finish up the show for the day. Thank you guys for joining. We'll go to the aisle cam now and see some yummy stuff that's out there in Hy-Vee for us today. All right, everyone. So I want to remind you guys that Hy-Vee is administering vaccinations here for COVID, and all you have to do is just continue to check the website, and you will be able to find out when they get more vaccinations available, and you'll be able to sign up online. Another reminder for you guys is that the pharmacy can't sign you up at this point. So if you see that there are vaccinations or appointment times available, you can sign up online. Or if you need help with that, you can come into the store, and they have an iPad at customer service, and they can help you walk through that. The other message for you, we will announce through Discover Muscatine and through Hy-Vee social media and things to let you know when they get their next round of vaccinations and when those will be available for you. So continue to watch Discover Muscatine. One more thing, so papers should be hitting your mailboxes yesterday and today because of President's Day, but I want to focus a little bit in on what's in the paper, and Joint Effort is today's What's in the Paper. And this is another one that we started, I think a little bit over, I don't know, it's probably almost been a year since we started Joint Effort, and it really truly is a joint effort of small businesses here in Muscatine and Wilton and surrounding towns, and it's just a joint effort to bring news about other small businesses. So we always include a story and some advertisements, but it's just a way for them to get the word out about their business and come together in order to kind of share that expense for it. So I encourage you guys all to check out Joint Effort this week and find out more about what's happening in that old state land building that we're all so familiar with. You can find out more about that in Joint Effort inside your Discover Muscatine this week. I want to thank you guys all for joining us, and of course thank our sponsors for allowing us to put on this show every day to bring you information and guests like John. Thank you so much to R7, to obviously to Lutheran Living, Hy-Vee, Market Grill Express, CBI, and Toyota of Muscatine. Remember, until tomorrow, that kindness is free. So spread that stuff wherever you go.
TJ Deere here at Toyota Muscatine, and this is what it feels like to have a brand new Toyota.
It's the new car smell.
It's the new stories.
It's the new adventure. It's the memories.
Come and see us for your 2020 Toyota.